رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today we're moving on to Prophet Saleh, who was sent to the people of Thamud. Now, the people of Thamud were very similar to the people of Ad that we talked about at Asr, in that the same structures that Ad used to create, those were the same structures that were created by the people of Thamud. They used to create these magnificent structures inside the mountains, and they would carve out these massive mansions. Now, the people of Thamud, they came after Ad, and Prophet Saleh was sent to them. Now, Prophet Saleh was a very noble man inside the culture of Thamud. He was not an ordinary man. He was very noble, and he was wealthy, and he was knowledgeable. And the people were ready to make him their leader. They were ready to appoint him as their leader. Now, one day he came and he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only God and that there is a day of resurrection. And the people came to him and said, "What are you saying? You are crazy and you are a bewitched man." Now, this is the same thing that they said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They used to say about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he is Sadiq al-Amin, and they used to say that he's trustworthy and that he's honest. But then when he came with the message, they called him Majnoon. They called him crazy. So now Prophet Saleh started preaching, and he started talking to the people and started to call them and bring them towards Islam. And slowly his followers were gaining, but still a major majority were still disbelieving, and they would believe in idols. Now, the idols they believed in, they weren't only stones. They also believed in an idol that was created from flesh and blood, and that was themselves. They had this idea of humanism where the center of their entire world was themselves. Their purpose of creation was to fulfill their own desires. They believed that the reason they were created was to fulfill their own desires. Now, this is something that's very prominent in today's society, and it's something that we have to really be careful of, that yes, while we do have desires, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed us to fulfill these desires, and that is a ni'mah, a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to be careful where we don't take this too far. We are not God. Our purpose for being sent into this world was to worship Allah, is to satisfy Allah. This world is only a test for us. Eternal happiness, true bliss, we will find that in Jannah, inshallah. Now, this was an idol, and of course, we know that if people are disbelieving, that the person sent to them is a messenger, which Unib talked about during Asr. So now, moving on, when Prophet Saleh was sitting amongst the group of people, a lot of the people were there and a bunch of people from the village, and so Prophet Saleh starts preaching and starts saying and starts calling more people towards Islam. So one of them says to the Prophet Saleh, like, "Okay, so if you're a messenger, you see that big rock over there? Show us a sign. From that big rock, cause a she-camel to come out." And then another man stands up and mockingly says to Prophet Saleh, "Okay, and make that she-camel 10 months pregnant." And then another man stands up and says, "Make that she-camel bigger than anything we've ever seen before." And then another man stands up mockingly and says, "Make that she-camel able to produce so much milk that the entire town is able to be fed." And they keep going on and listing these characteristics, and they're all mocking Prophet Saleh, and they're just making a joke out of this. So then at the end of all that, Prophet Saleh says, "Is that it? Are you done?" And then they go, "Yes." So Prophet Saleh turns around and he prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He prays to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the miracle is granted. And then the earth starts to shake, and the rock is split in half, and the camel emerges. And now there's two groups of people. One is the believing people. These people were just staring at the camel, and they were just in shock. They were in awe that this creation that they just thought of has come to life. And then the other group of people are the disbelievers, and they're wondering how he did this, and they start questioning him and saying that he's a magician and he's bewitched. And then Prophet Saleh tells the people that this is a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he starts listing that this camel is a camel of Allah. This camel did not have any mother and was not birthed naturally. So it's the camel of Allah. It shall be able to graze around the land freely and should not be harmed by anyone. And it will have one day for the well and then the next day you will have for the well. So they would have to share the days, and they would have to share the well. Now, a few months pass, and the camel is living amongst the people, and this sign that is roaming amongst the people is causing more and more people to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and more people are starting to accept Islam. Now, a group of people are like the group of disbelievers, and they're still in the majority. They start to plot and they start thinking, because now they're wondering, why do we have to share one day of the well with this camel? We want to be able to go to the well any day we want. This is our well. Why do we have to share this one day with the camel? And since the camel was allowed to graze freely, it would go and graze wherever it wants, scaring away some people's sheep or the bulls, and wherever they wanted to graze, the camel would come and it would graze there and scare them away. So then these people started plotting, and one man goes and says, after being enticed by some other people, says, I'm going to go kill it. And then another man joins him. And these two men go and convince another 7 men to join them. So now in total, there are 9 men. And these 9 men are planning to go and kill the she-camel. So they go out in the night. After the camel is done drinking from the well, one of them goes and shoots the camel in the leg, and then the other 9 stab it. And the calf of the camel, because the camel was pregnant, the calf was already born, it goes and it runs to the top of the mountain, and it bellows 3 times. So it lets out a howl, seeing as his mother was killed. Now, these 3 howls are important, and I'm going to talk about it in a little bit. And afterwards, then the Prophet Saleh figures out that the camel has been killed. And he tells them that surely you have committed a great sin, and now a painful punishment is coming for you in 3 days. Now, why 3? Because the calf shouted and bellowed 3 times. So now the people say, okay, so what? All right, let your punishment come, whatever. Show us what you're made of. Show us what God you have, and show us, what's this punishment that's coming. And now those same people, and now some other people plan to go kill Saleh and his family. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that before they were able to kill Prophet Saleh and his family, that he crushed them with a rock. Now, we move on to the next day, and the punishment of Allah slowly starts to come in. So the first day, their faces all turn pale, and it looks as if they all have gotten a disease. And now they're looking around, and people are starting to get scared, and they're starting to see each other, and they're all pale. Then the second day, everyone's faces turns red, and now they're getting even more scared, because now they can see the transition and how the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming closer. And then the third day, all their faces turn black. And now they're very fearful, because now they know the punishment of Allah is 1 day away. And then the last day, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lets out, or there's a shriek, and there's a really loud sound, and it causes everyone to hurl down onto the floor, and the entire disbelieving people is destroyed. And قولي قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.